Howdy, Rick from DreamSideOut. This is a really weird video, some personal stuff. Bear with me on this, please. Okay, how do I begin? You're wondering, what's going on with Rick from DreamSideOut? Well, let me tell you a little story. This is a story thing, a personal story. I thought about whether or not I should put this out there. I'm recording this right now. And right now, as I'm recording it, I'm wondering if I'm even going to put it up on YouTube or not. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But this is just a personal thing. Okay. Here's a story for you. I was born on April 1st, April Fool's Day, 1956, Easter Sunday. And not only was it Easter Sunday, April Fool's Day, it was also my grandmother's birthday. They were anticipating the birth of a child, and after losing their first child, and so it was a big day for them, and it happened on April Fool's Day, Easter Sunday. Well, as you probably know, Easter Sunday is on April Fool's Day this year, 2018. And as I'm doing this video, this is Good Friday. This is, the Friday before Easter, known as Good Friday, the day Jesus was crucified. And so Easter Sunday is day after tomorrow. When I was a kid, I was told about this constantly. Now, am I something special because I was born on April Fool's Day, Easter Sunday? Oh, not really. There were thousands of people born on that day, probably. In fact, I actually had a friend in high school, David Hale. Hey, David, if you're out there and you find this video, I'd love to get in touch with you, man. But we used to talk about the fact that we were both born on that same day, and I think we were born in the same hospital. So that was really weird, too, that David must have been in the room next to where my mom was giving birth. It's like weird, isn't it? I don't know. But anyway, I was born on Easter Sunday, April Fool's Day, 1956, and it hasn't happened again until this year, 2018. And I always wondered, when I was a kid, I remember looking this up in an almanac. We didn't have Google, we just had almanacs. And I looked it up and I thought, wow, this isn't going to happen again until 2018, in another century, and I'm going to be really old. And wow, I wonder if that's the day I'm going to die. See, one of the things I used to wonder about when I was a kid, when I thought about this, is, boy, when that happens again, I'm going to be really old, and maybe that'll be the day I die. And the thing about it is, I forgot about the whole thing until just this past week, and then I looked at when Easter was going to happen, and it happened on my birthday again, and I thought, oh man, here we are. And all my life, I used to wonder about whether this is going to be the last day for me on Earth, and here I am. And I've got one day to go, okay? This is Friday. And I'm faced with something really strange. I'm faced with this idea, or this this possibility that what is it like if you knew, what would it be like if you knew that this was your last day? If you had one more day, what would you do? What would you do if you knew you had one more day? What would you do with that day? Well, it was easy for me. It was actually fairly easy. I knew immediately what I wanted to do. I wanted to be with my 3 sons. That was it, period. No, it was a no-brainer. And now the weird thing about it is, I completely spaced. I didn't know that was coming. I completely forgot about it until this past week, I looked up and said, hey, when is Easter? And I looked it up, and it's April 1st, 2018. I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. Now, you could say that this might be like delusions of grandeur. Am I special? No, I don't want to go there. Why would I be special when there were so many people born on that day? But maybe there's a message in it. I don't know. I do put my hope in the resurrection. You know, I put my hope in the resurrection. Why would anybody not put their hope in the resurrection? Because they're rational and it's just stupid to believe in those kind of fairy tales? Okay, if that gives you comfort, fine. Now, I want to say up front, just come out with it. I put my hope in the resurrection of the dead. That might sound kind of crazy to some people, especially people who are atheists and don't believe in any kind of God or creator or spiritual realm at all. And they might say it's foolish to believe in the resurrection of the dead. Well, you know what? I guess that's branded on my name, isn't it? It's branded right on my birthday. I'm the fool that is putting my hope in the resurrection. Okay, this all sounds very dramatic, and it's maybe they're just days, right? April Fool's Day is something that humans came up with. There's some history behind it. The reason we call it April Fool's Day is because actually April 1st was the first day of the year at one time in history. And then a particular king changed it. You can look this up on Google. Do your own research. It was changed, and the people out in the country, out in the that didn't have news of that, they still thought April 1st was the first day of the year, so everybody called them fools. And that's where April Fool's Day came from, okay? Easter, on the other hand, was something that was concocted by the church early on. It followed the Jewish Passover, because Jesus entered Jerusalem and had his last supper with his disciples on the Passover. So the Passover celebration was celebrated at a certain time, and the church decided that, well, because Jesus rose from the dead on Sunday, that Easter is going to always fall on Sunday. So it's between a couple of dates. You look it up. I don't remember off the top. But anyway, the church has said it's always on Sunday, whereas the Jewish Passover is a little more flexible in that regard. Anyway, I happened to be born, though, on April Fool's Day, Easter Sunday, 1956. And I guess one of the things I can say with certainty is that I'm still a fool because I put my hope in the resurrection. Hey, you know what? this is just temporary.